day it has been. Viewers, the number one Lutyens think tank stands shaken. I'll tell you a little bit about that. That story is reverberating across the country. Viewers, first let me put it in wider context for you. As you know, George Soros is a Hungarian origin American billionaire, multi-billionaire, if there is any such term. And he is widely thought to have succeeded in bringing about regime change around the world. At least that's what many say he has done in the past. And many still believe that he's perhaps even planning that here in India. Many think of him as an agent of instability, and India is a natural target for individuals like these who might not be partial to a nationalistic government that would like India to become a force of global dominance. Soros is widely known to fund many who are part of an ecosystem here in India of Western elites, or westernized elites rather, that militate against the effort to construct a new Bharat built on its civilizational dharmic values, and which poses a challenge to the Western worldview, to the Western order. 5 months after income tax sleuths surveyed the number one Lutyens think tank, the Center for Policy Research, the Home Ministry has suspended the institution's foreign funding license for the next 180 days. In short, for the next 6 months. This suspension of the FCRA license has ostensibly taken place because foreign funding norms have been violated. That's the basic allegation. Interestingly, an overwhelming quantity of the Center for Policy Research's funds come from overseas donors. We'll deep dive those numbers in a short while. The center's action has predictably stirred the proverbial hornet's nest in Lutyens Delhi. The think tank has long been a bastion of what the right wing in India calls the Khan market set. Many of its members belong to this Khan market set, routinely and harshly criticize policies of the government and the leadership of the country. The ecosystem now sees this scrutiny by the IT department, by the center, as a bid to silence the critics of the government, viewers. Now, as you know, before we deep dive, as I told you, the entire fund source of the CPR, let me tell you what the CPR has said. It issued a statement where it confidently claims that it has no reasons to fear scrutiny. It says, and I quote, FCRA license suspended by the MHA for 180 days. Detailed and exhaustive responses have been submitted. We are in complete compliance with the law, routinely scrutinized and audited by government and the CNAG. Annual balance sheets are in the public domain. Our aim is to protect constitutional guarantees, unquote. It also says that it is unbiased and law-abiding. It is independent, unbiased, and law-abiding. Now, as I said, the CPR is getting a lot of support, mostly from anti-India types, anti-NDA rather types, and the opposition. Viewers, let's play out some of those sound bites.
सेंटर फॉर पॉलिसी रिसर्च आज से नहीं 1973 से पढ़ रहा था, आज की 1973 से ये चल रहा है, और जिस समय आने पर वक्तन सरकार को एक सुझाव भी देते थे और सरकार उनको अमल भी करती थी। तो ये मैं समझता हूँ कि आज की जो सरकार ने जो फैसला किया है, तो मैं कहता हूँ ये एक और इनकी तरफ से कदम है हिंदुस्तान में, मैं कहूँगा पूरी इंडिया में डेमोक्रेसी सेटअप को एक और चोट है।
These days the center is using its agency for its own sinister purposes, and that also for the organization opposed to them. They raided using the income tax, and CBI they raided the BBC from premises. So Center has lost its credibility as to on what grounds it suspends the registration of FCR and all.
And it used to help the Indian government. The policy research was to understand India, to go for any dangers of this which we are facing. And by that, the government of India had used to make the policies. It is unfortunate why they have stopped it.
Now, as I said, viewers, ordinarily receiving funds from foreign sources is not a crime. It shouldn't even be a crime. But for some reason, the government, and we're yet to actually get an official statement from the government on this, suspects that certain funding norms have been undermined, violated. As I said, viewers, the CPR receives a huge amount of foreign funds. It has received over 16.5 crores in 9 months of last year. Of this, rupees 2.6 crore came from Soros's Namati alone. Those figures are there on your screens. Let's look a little deeper. George Soros is a founding member of Namati. He gave a veiled call for regime change recently, and Namati funds Center for Policy Research, which is headed by Yamini Iyer, the daughter of Congress leader Mani Shankar Iyer. None of this, viewers, is problematic. None of this, except for the fact that George Soros has an agenda, and he speaks of it openly. Has that agenda, that anti-Modi agenda, riled up the agencies at the center? Have they been provoked? Could they not stomach his criticism and they're taking it out on CPR? It's quite possible, viewers. It's quite possible. Let me just very quickly tell you what the CPR does. Now, the CPR, viewers, as I told you, is a think tank. It's a very, very important think tank. It's one of the most well-known think tanks. It's been a leading public policy think tank, in fact, since 1973. CPR is non-profit, calls itself non-partisan, independent institution dedicated to conducting research that contributes to high-quality scholarship, better policies, and more robust public discourse about the issues that impact life in India. And it also goes on to say the CPR brings together India's best thinkers and policy practitioners who are at the forefront of both research and engagement in the policy space. Drawing from various disciplines and professional backgrounds, CPR conducts advanced and in-depth research on a wide range of policy-relevant issues with a focus on India's 21st century challenges. Through its research and policy-making engagements, CPR works closely with policymakers in its aim to place India firmly on the path of building a 21st century policy ecosystem. So basically, viewers, if a policy is being designed by a government, a state government, a department of the government, they can lean on the CPR and its brain's trust to help them shape it. There's nothing wrong in that, viewers. Consultation is important. Now, viewers, plenty of institutions in India are funded by Soros. So why should we be worried just about CPR? Now, we spoke to some leading experts, and here's why they think CPR's foreign funds are problematic. And some of them spoke to us off the record. They say that CPR has received funds from Soros and others who are sympathetic to Soros's objectives. The foreign fund infusion into CPR between 2019 and 2020 stands at rupees 32 crores, 8 times more than domestic funds, which stand at about 4.13 crores. Between 2015 and 2021, CPR received rupees 100 crores from abroad for, quote, educational purposes, unquote. But CPR doesn't run any education institutions. That is what we are being told. We're subject to be corrected on this, viewers. CPR's list of faculty are associated with foreign institutions. They are allegedly not vetted by the government, like foreign journalists, for example, are working in India. Now, unvetted CPR faculty enjoys access, some say, to country-sensitive data and policy papers. And if these individuals are being funded by other individuals, viewers, or have ties to other institutions which may not be non-partisan. They might actually be partisan. They could give the government wrong advice. They could criticize where perhaps no criticism is required. They could throw off policy making. Now, CPR is paralegal partner, we are told, of Namati in India. Namati, of course, was founded and funded by George Soros. Namati funds legal cases through CPR. Experts say this could also constitute an FCRA breach. Now, before we open this up to debate, I want you to listen to George Soros once again. He spoke recently in Geneva, if I'm not mistaken, or in Switzerland to be exact. Listen into this.
It's a democracy, but its leader, Narendra Modi, is no Democrat. Inciting violence against Muslims was an important factor in his meteoric rise. India is a member of the Quad, which also includes Australia, the US, and Japan. But it buys a lot of Russian oil at a steep discount. Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament. This will significantly weaken Modi's stranglehold on India's federal government and open the door to push for much-needed institutional reforms.
Now, viewers, when you look at George Soros, who's finding it difficult to read out of a prepared script, you'd say, what possible threat could he pose to India, a mighty country like ours? Even if he is funding, do you think Indians would sell their souls to his agenda? Well, viewers, those are some of the fundamental questions that we seek to answer. Let's open